presenters wish to educate the SLU members or the general public about the importance of SLU space exploration, thereby building the community.
Okay.
So they are basically community leaders and digital influencers, I would say, of SLU working together from different parts of the country. There is, great opportunity for all the representatives from all the countries. And guess what? We don't have age limit. Any country or anybody who just have interest in space, passion in space, and who are SLU members can absolutely apply for becoming an ambassador.
And you actively want people from, a large variety of regions and countries, don't you?
Yes, that is what SLU is for. It's not restricted for any country. It's for the world. And I believe all countries have space enthusiasts and astronomers, scientists, and retired people, in fact, who wants to constantly contribute something for the space exploration, and they can absolutely take up this opportunity for being an ambassador. And if you wanted to join the program and join the club, you can drop me an email, divya@slu.com, divya@slu.com. And in fact, if you wanted to know more, you can drop an email as well. So you can see whether you will be interested in joining us. And trust me, it's just fun, and it's just help us to learn a lot more. And outreaching about the space is one best thing I've ever witnessed. It just keeps me inspired every day.
Excellent. And you meet once a week, don't you, on a Zoom call? All the ambassadors get together and talk about what's happening in the community, and things that things could be done better. So you feed back to the SLU development team, on changes. You feed back on quests, and it's such a valuable group, to have a group of members like that who are very focused on, one, of course, spreading the word about SLU, but secondly, the feedback that you're then able to give the team is something that we've never had before, and we've been adapting. So many things have changed even over the last few weeks based on the feedback, from ambassadors. Carol, we changed an awful lot of things, based on some of the feedback that Carol gave the team. So, I really, it's such an important program for us. So I wish it every strength, and anybody who is interested, then contact Divya, who's managing that program, and, get involved. It's a good one. Thank you, Divya, for everything you're doing for us.
Thank you.
Listen, anybody got any questions? And otherwise, I'll take you very briefly through the quest, because there's some cool little things. We've already had 70 people start this quest. We've had 6 people finish it. A bit premature, I think. A bit premature. You didn't know if you were going to get that final image, did you? No, see, always wait, because as soon as you press that claim badge button, you can't change the quest. So shall I tell you a little bit about what we've done here? I told you right at the beginning, but I'll give you a better explanation now. This is just reference. So what these numbers on the quest do, each one of these is an image slot. So this is in all of our quests, we have what's called the data collection. In here, it's telling me I've already collected 3 of 41 images, but there's an important little thing here on this particular quest. It says there's a minimum of 1 needed. Now, on most quests, you have to finish off all of the data collection before you can continue to the next slot, the next step. But this one, it's optional. And it's optional because what we've done is there are the 41 boxes. You can put whatever image you like, as long as it's from this particular, it's limited to any snaps that you've made during this event, in any of those boxes. So these numbers, let's just say I want to put, and through the eclipse, in image box number 19. I know where that's going to land up on my poster. So all I have to do is scroll down, go to boxes, And I can select maybe this one. Talk amongst yourselves while the little circle goes around. These are high def images, so it's pretty good on this poster. It's going to be pretty good. So it doesn't show up on here because this is just, this is just a blank representation of the poster. But if we then go to the next step, we can see our poster and what it's looking like so far. Looking pretty cool, if I say so myself, given I've been doing this on the side as a kind of side thing today. But I think that's looking pretty good. But you can see what we're getting at. You can lay this thing out in any way you like. Now, there's a little tip here, a Coxie tip. You can download the full resolution version of your poster at any time. You don't have to finish. You don't have to claim your badge before you can download. Use that button to download the full, design these at incredibly high resolution so that they're suitable, that you can send them to a local print company and get them printed out, 3 foot tall, A1 size or even larger. They're very high DPI, dots per inch, and high resolution. But did you know, if you just wanted one to share, you can right click and say save image as, and that will save you still a very good copy, but a lower resolution version of your poster. But I want to show you a little thing that I did yesterday. So this is when I was putting this quest together. I was just putting together an example of the kind of stuff that you can do. So on the left, you've got the quest poster as it appears in the quest. So what I've done there, this is from a previous annular eclipse. I've shown it in a circle around it and laid it out. Now, if you printed out the poster, that is what it would look like. You'd have all of those empty holes. We're going to change that in the future because we've only just come up with this idea. So we're going to change that in the future that they would go black. But the version on the right is 5 minutes. I just opened my downloaded poster in some image processing software. I used a magic wand selection tool to select all of this blue stuff and turned it all black. And then you land up with a beautiful illustration like that in a lovely circle showing the progression of the eclipse. So I'm interested to see what other, I quite fancy a spiral version. So coming along from the top, then down, then down, then up, and then a smaller circle around and around. Then you'd finish up, where would you finish? Here. And then you go to your favorite image in the middle. Now, I don't know if anybody managed to capture any of those annular eclipses. They were quite small, and I'm not sure if they, even so, the progression that we've had from the Sharjah feed today is going to make a pretty cool poster, I think. Andrew, can you let me know if has that feed been very consistent throughout the entire eclipse?
The Sharjah one?
Yeah.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Right. So everybody should have been able to collect a really nice progression of images there. Now, I think there were a few before we came on air. And what I'll do is I'll grab those and make those available to members. Now, unfortunately, only astronomer members can upload images. But if you upload an image for a quest, and we've had this quite a bit on the collection quests, if you upload an image, you can select a SLU 1000 object to associate that uploaded image to, and then it will appear in your quest as being available in the quest. But I don't know, is that kind of poster thing and giving you the kind of option to lay things out yourself, is that a thumbs up, a thumbs down? Is it something you want to see more of? Yeah, I think from my point of view, it means that you can put your own character on it. You can almost design, the layout of your own poster. And don't forget, you can do some post editing, download it, and you can edit it, change the text, whatever you like. So anyway, right, where are we? Let's take a look at the live feeds. Oh, look, the Sharjah is still going. I think they are. Eclipse finished for them. Probably, what was that, 20 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago, something like that. So Dubai Astronomy Group, that looks like Japan to me. looking a bit muddy, I would say, their skies. Either somebody's smeared the telescope lens or it's quite cloudy, one of the two. That's not one to snap. So it's not India feed, because in Sursa, in fact, you know, that was a feed that we were really a lot of cloud there, which is not, I don't think, uncommon for this time of year. But we've also seen, we've had great feeds at the moment. We did have them from the International Astronomy Centre right at the beginning as well. They're in Abu Dhabi. They've done us some great feeds for some of the lunar eclipses that we've done. But the Sharjah Academy of Astronomy, Space Science and Technology at the University of Sharjah feed all the way through, which is quite cool. Malaysia, Andrew, you said that we did have Malaysia online as well at one point, did we?
Yeah, I've swapped the feed from IAC and SAST and taken those off, and Malaysia is now on Malaysia tab.
Well, let's hop over and take a quick look. So shows page, there we go. Right, so which one am I going for?
Okay, fourth one, Malaysia.
Ooh, pretty. Grab one of those.
It's not cropped very well, but
it's not.
It's there.
It's there. It's still seeing. So here we can see. So if I pull that back up again, actually. So Malaysia, if your geography is as bad as mine, Malaysia is down here in the Far East, and you can see that they're right off to the edge of the penumbral eclipse. So the penumbral shadow is everything that's in blue there. In fact, we've got this, in fact, I think the better way of showing this is actually, so all of this is actually in the quest. So you can have a good reminder about this later on. But this is going to be the easiest way of me showing it to you. We'll take a look at that animation because it kind of might make sense now that we've seen, you know, what happened in the feeds from the Middle East, what happened in the feeds that we saw in India at one point, and Taiwan, and now Malaysia. So there was our little diagram explaining the 3 types of shadow that the moons cast. And the moon casts these shadows all the time, with the exception, there's one moment, there's one event where the moon does not cast those shadows. I'll leave you to think about that. I can hear the cogs turning. But it's only when the Earth passes into those shadows that we actually see an eclipse. Now, every single object in the solar system casts shadows like this. They cast an umbra and penumbral shadow, and in fact an antumbra, but they can get a lot smaller. So if you can imagine, we saw eclipse of Mercury recently. Now, that is the same kind of thing. It's like an annular eclipse. It's just the annulus is really, really big, and Mercury is a tiny, tiny little dot. But basically, we're in the antumbra shadow of Mercury when we're doing that. It's just incredibly large and incredibly diffuse. But all objects cast this. We see it on Jupiter. So Jupiter casts a shadow. And what we can see when we look at the live feeds of Jupiter is we get eclipse events. So there's all sorts of events that you can get with the 4 largest moons of Jupiter. So you can get a transit when the actual moon, we see it move across the face of the planet. We can see a shadow transit, which is where the shadow cast by the moon is falling on Jupiter's surface and going across. Before opposition, the shadow goes in front of the moon. After opposition, it's around the other way because the sun's coming from the other way. But behind what we see is an occultation. So an occultation is when one of the moons goes behind the actual planet's disk, disappears in view. But we also get eclipses of those moons when the moons pass into the shadow cast by Jupiter. Now, the only time you don't see those is at opposition, when the sunlight is hitting Jupiter direct, and occultation and eclipse actually occurs roughly the same time. So anyway, all all objects cast these shadows. Earth, of course, casts an umbral and penumbral shadow. Lunar eclipse. So when we get a full eclipse, a total eclipse of the moon is the umbral shadow. But this is what I wanted to just hop down to, this animation once again. So there we go. So just a reminder, that big gray circle, penumbral shadow, crossing the planet of the Earth, as we've seen over the last couple of hours. And if you look carefully on this, let's can we do that? If you look carefully on this, you can see that little dot. That is the ant-umbral shadow. And it's rare that these three things coincide, and the distance from the moon to the Earth is just right, so that that ant-umbral shadow is the thing that touches Earth's surface, and that's what gives us the annular eclipse. So what we can see is earlier on, so when it starts again, we'll see the front edge of the penumbral shadow hit the Middle East. So bang, there it is, that's what we saw. And then the eclipse gets greater and greater and greater until we saw those 5 views when they were at greatest eclipse. There was that one from Oman that did have an annular eclipse, but we'll wait for it to come around again. And so they had their annular eclipse in India, but here we go, bang. There we see just the bottom edge of that penumbral shadow reaching the far east. So if we then go back to the feed, sorry, loads of screens, back to here. I can't keep everything open at the same time, otherwise it and there we can see the result of that. Right, so this is I've already gone through their greatest eclipse, but you can see the greatest eclipse here was really shallow in comparison to what we saw in the Middle East, which had, what did I say, was it was over 80% obscured, wasn't it? I think 89% for some of those, because they were closer to that central path. So, oh, that's nice. I'll snap one of those. Thank you very much, Andrew. So, right, we are, I think, winding up now, because you know, that's the moon's shadow is going to kind of carry on moving off in Malaysia. But have we got any questions either about the eclipse or about SLU, or I don't know, the price of fish? Anybody got any questions? Don't leave me hanging. You leave me hanging. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
I have a question for you.
Yay!
What's the next big event that we should be looking out for?
Next big event looking out for. Thanks for the notice on that one, Todd. Todd, by the way, is SLU's chief kind of, what's your title, Todd? I never know what it is. It's chief engineer.
VP of Engineering.
VP, Vice President Engineering. Okay, thank you very much. Next big event. Well, there is what happens with eclipses is they come in pairs. This one, I think, has come in 3s. And so you land up getting a lunar eclipse 2 weeks away from a solar eclipse. And the way the geometry has worked out on this one, and somebody correct me, somebody put a really nasty face at me, kind of growl at me if I get this wrong. But we did have a penumbral lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago. But I think unusually there's a penumbral lunar eclipse in 2 weeks' time as well. So there's actually a lunar eclipse on either side of this solar eclipse. I am not seeing any growling faces. So let's go ahead with that. Later on in the year, eclipse-wise, I think it's December 14th, maybe, we have a total solar eclipse. Now, this one is very, very similar. The eclipses this year are kind of a duplicate of what we saw last year, strangely. So the path of this annular eclipse has been very similar to the one that we saw last year. And also the total eclipse in December is another South American eclipse close to the observatory. I know Daniela has been in the webinar. Hi, Daniela, if you can see us. She's the astronomer, the resident astronomer at our observatory in Chile. And hopefully she'll be able to provide us with some great live feeds of the total solar eclipse down there. But we've also got that because I don't recall seeing one of these before. So if we go to the shows tab, let's just have a look at what's coming up. Now I haven't announced them yet, but this is one of the ones that I'm looking forward to most of all. This is the Great Conjunction. It's every 19 years, maybe. The two largest planets in our solar system come together in the night sky, and it's Jupiter and Saturn. And they get in the night sky that, normally, you go outside at dawn. Saturn are going to be so close together that they're going to fit within our telescope fields of view. So in a single image, we're going to be able to see Jupiter and Saturn. And if we track them over a period of time, we'll actually see their different rates of motion, because Jupiter normally travels faster than Saturn because Jupiter's closer to Earth and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to that, because it's going to be an absolute visual feast to look at outside with a pair of binoculars or even a small telescope or just the naked eye. But through the SLU telescopes, I'm really looking forward to seeing how that one turns out, to see those two mighty planets, two of my favorite objects actually in the night sky, in the same telescope field of view. I will be snapping like mad during that little event. So anything else, anybody? God.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much for managing the Zoom stuff possible for me to do that as well as everything else. So.
Well, I have to thank Emmanuel from our team as well.
Oh yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel. Let's take I'm just going to flop over.
Hey, Paul,
yes,
I want to mention one more time. If anybody out there is interested in discussing SLU for their classroom, drop me a note, russ@slu.com. So love to talk to you about that, how that might work for your classroom. And, we really can work with anyone from elementary, middle school, high school, and beyond. So college or higher ed education is really going really well. So check us out.
And we've got, building a really strong Quest creation team now. So we've got John Boisvert, and also Dr. Mike Shaw as well. He is on our Quest creation team now. And he showed me the outline of his first Quest the other day, and I think you're going to enjoy that. And we've got plenty more planned for high school and I'll tell you, SLU members, normal SLU members, we're all kind of normal SLU members, but you're going to enjoy all of them, and we were talking earlier, weren't we, about, kind of learning progression and getting into astronomy and learning. What we're doing at the moment is we're getting a large variety of quests out there, some which will take you a long time, like the Messier and Caldwell collection quest, where you're collecting, what is it in total, 219 objects. It'll take you at least 6 months, probably 9 months or a year to collect those, if you're making sure that you collect the very best images. But then you've got the one-nighters, quests that you can do in a single day or a single night. So we've got a broad range at the moment, but what you'll slowly start to spot over the coming months is how they all form this lovely learning progression that'll take you right from the basics of Cosmic Explorer, where it just introduces you to, this is the variety of objects you can see in the SLU telescopes, without going into very much depth. But then we've got things like John's recent, Life and Death of Stars. We've got the quest that Mike Shaw is working on at the moment is about star clusters. So you're going to go on an adventure to really understand and see the differences between open star clusters and globular star clusters, and talking about star color and what that can tell you about their size and mass and age. We've got a whole series of in the footsteps quests where you can replicate, discoveries down the ages. Those are the ones that I'm working on in the collection quests as well. Andrew, by the way, over there is helping out with a lot of the posters that you see for the quest. Andrew is doing all the legwork with that and laying out these grids and that lovely diagram that you adapted for this one. So anyway, so we got lots planned there, Russ. So I think lots of exciting stuff ahead as far as quests are concerned. Anybody else? Anybody got anything?
I have a question.
Yes, Bonnie.
Where do we get access to the slow time lapse animation tool?
It's only included in the Quest, so it's not available outside of Quest at the moment, Bonnie. But we are considering making it available outside the Quest. But if there's something specific that you want to use it for, then let me know. Because if anybody's got any ideas for Quests that you'd really like to try out, then let me know. Email me, paul@slu.com, and we'll put something together, Bonnie. But it will hopefully be available as a kind of separate tool outside of a Quest at some point in the future, but not at the moment. Anybody else? Anybody else? Carol, you did have your hand. Oh, Divya, go on.
Carol got a question. I just seeing her.
Hey, Carol.
Hi, may I introduce myself, Paul?
Of course you can.
Okay, I'm Carol Buerter from South Africa. I'm a member of an amateur astro group, the Orion Observation Group. And I've been a SLU member since 2017, and it's been an amazing experience. I'm doing some super astronomy, and I'm looking forward to more South Africans joining me on my adventures on SLU. But here is my question. Quest. What happens once we press that claim your badge button? Do the SLU top brass sit and giggle about our answers? I was just wondering, because I don't think we know it all, or that Russ, as a senior member, I don't mind I'll be your cook anytime. We just don't remember stuff, and then, oh, I hate it when that little button goes incorrect.
I know.
It's like, so that's my question. What happens? Do you?
We don't go in there and for individual members and see how many times you got that question incorrect. Otherwise, my reputation, the little reputation that I have, would be in absolute ruins if that was the case. But we have seen a few.
What a relief!
Absolutely,
it's a relief.
Yeah, we did consider at one point using a Quest if you got a question wrong. But actually going through, and if you don't know the answer, then the answer is normally in the Quest. And if it's not in the Quest, it's in a guide. So it's usually on the SLU website where you can find the answer. So some people we know just click through because they just want to go through the Quest and get some gravity points. But the majority of us are doing this to learn stuff. And actually by showing you the other questions that are incorrect, by finally getting to the correct answer, you learn something through. But one of the things that we are considering in the future, and this is really important, and in fact, all of the answers, all of the posters, everything is recorded in the database, because this is going to be very important for teachers to be able to go into their classroom, their students' activities, to see how they did. They're basically going to, press a button to say, here we go, I'm submitting my project to you, my Quest results to you, so the teacher will be able to see that. But you can always go through you gave and have a look at your poster again and stuff like that. What and you'll see this in a lot of the Quests that I've written recently. I'm trying to drum home, challenge yourself on this. This is not about just getting some gravity points or claiming your badge. It's about learning. Oh, I know, I could show you, oh no, I can't show you that one. The Messier Collection Quest. You can go through that and you can pick any old image taken with any of the telescopes. So you could maybe use a ring nebula, for M57, telescopes where the planetary nebula is so tiny in the image you can't see it. Who are you doing it for? You're doing it for you. So surely you want the best possible poster to come out at the end of it, to share that and be proud of, rather than just using any old image. So challenge yourself all the way through with these things. And it's something that I'm doing with some of those advanced quests, which are teaching me a lot. That Life and Death of Stars quest taught me a huge amount. And I actually specifically ditched it because I wanted to get some better images of some of the the stars that I'd captured in there. You know, so it's a good question, but yeah, you're in your own little bubble at the moment, Carol, so nobody else is kind of looking over your shoulder, but yeah.
I feel this is actually important, because when you think back at your school days and college days or whatever, and you had to have tests, you were being judged. Here, you're not being judged. You're being tested on how much of your knowledge you still remember and know, and how much you actually, in chats, everybody knows I struggled, and everybody will see I struggled with the proton chain thing.
Yeah, I did.
Because I've listened to so many lectures, and so many people have told me how it works and everything. And then suddenly when the question is, when you jumped upon with this question, you just think you know the answer, and you press the button and it's wrong. It says incorrect.
I know.
And then you think, okay, no, then it's got to be the next one, incorrect. So, I'm doing so much homework, and I'm enjoying the life and death of stars quest so much. I'm reading if you read each sentence, I read about, say 10 sentences, and then I go and have a break or go for a walk or something, because it's heavy stuff in there if you're really interested in learning more. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I find when I've gone back through it as well, when I've finished it, you know, that's been incredibly useful, because it's, you know, it's a bit like, you know, going back to that diagram of the eclipse tonight. You know, once you've been through it, we've seen all those live feeds, and that diagram of what we were seeing with the moon's shadow going across the earth kind of starts to make more sense. But this is what I'm talking about with making the most of it. So what I've done here is, as an astronomer member, I'm able to upload images. So I took some of the images, I see my Ring Nebula image there. I've cropped it to make it larger, uploaded it. It's then available for my whole solar disk in for the sun, and the very best images I could. And then you can see I've even labeled the stars, you know, that I put in there. So this is after the quest. I've downloaded the post and added more information to it, because I'm proud of this. You know, this is for me, it's not for anybody else. I enjoyed the exercise. So I'm totally with you there, Carol. So listen, folks, we ought to, let's just take a look at the Dubai Astronomy Group, who are still getting images in from Japan, or it looks like Japan, doesn't it? I apologize profusely for my total lack of knowledge of foreign languages and writing. But that looks pretty miserable to me. That's about halfway though, isn't it? I would say. So they're probably at maximum eclipse there. So probably, what would you say? 30%, 40% obscured. And listen, unless anybody has got any last questions. Oh yeah, I've just seen, sorry, I've just seen the big words at the top of the feed, eclipse from Japan. Yeah, I was actually looking at the feed and looking at the writing, thinking, where's that from? But anyway, sorry, stupid moment there. Time for more coffee. Unless anybody
One.
A night. Yes, yes. Oh, hi, Jari. Jari.
Hello, Jari. Yes, I'm Jari Bachman from Finland.
Love the images that you process on Slew and share. Thank you very much for those. I always brighten my coffee in the morning.
Okay, nice to hear. Nice to hear. I just wanted to get back on the Messier challenge, and if you look very carefully, so above my head on the wall back, you can see my.
Oh, I can. Excellent.
My poster of the Messier challenge, and
brilliant. Nice.
Just wanted to say that I've been so happy this last year with Sleuth, because it's really finally broke out my misery that I didn't have time for astronomy, and now as I have retired, so now I have the time.
Excellent.
So
well, listen, Jari, you're such a superb example of a Slew member, because you share your expertise when it comes to image processing. You share your glorious images all the time. I kind of always, going to observations, shared observations is one of the first things I do in the morning when I spark up my machine, and I go through all of those, and I find that Yari, David, there's a couple of others there that I've forgotten to mention, but I hover on their observations longer than anybody else, and I open them up so I can view them full screen. And I do what Carol's been, prompting so many of us to do. Don't just look at it as a beautiful image. Observe the image. Try it. Is it a reflection nebula? Is it a dark nebula? What are the physical properties that are going on there? Start having a look at some of the in the spiral galaxy arms and things like this. What detail can you see in Jupiter tonight that you couldn't see last night? It's the art of observation, as Carol puts it, and it's something I think all of us at SLU can do. Look beyond sometimes the pretty picture and just think to ourselves, what's going on there? So that's added quite an interest for me in my use of SLU, and especially seeing all of those images that members share. So anyway, anything else, anybody? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. We are finished. It's time for a full English breakfast and a large jug of coffee. Thank you so much for staying up late. If you're in the States, it's really, really late for you guys. India, you're going to be having your afternoon tea any minute. I think Cameron is just about to have his breakfast. I'm going to have, no, you're about to have your dinner, a late dinner. I'm about to have my late breakfast, go and feed the dog. Thankfully, he hasn't been moaning during this. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you most of all above the parapet, unmuted themselves and asked some questions, because that's what we want these star parties to be. You lot talking to us and a big discussion, around the campfire, rather than just listening to me with a presentation and a bit of information here and there. So for managing all of the feeds tonight, thank you, Russ, for telling us about SLU's online space camp and educational program. Thank you very much, Divya, for telling us about the SLU Ambassador Club. Thank you very much, Todd and Emmanuel on the east coast of the USA, dealing with managing the Zoom webinar and stuff like that. We will see you next week. Mike Shaw's got a Star Party Tuesday, I believe. I think that's on. So we'll see you over there. Otherwise, we'll see you in the clubs, in chat, anywhere else. Share your best images. And if you do make a nice, cool poster in the of the eclipse, and do share that as well. Don't be afraid to share your Quest posters. So that's all from me, Russ, Andrew, Todd, Divya, Cameron, Milton, everybody else here. Thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for sticking out for the entire event. Bye for now.